The rising of creation. From depths of firmness, earth ordained to stand, where heaven's purpose meets the waiting land, the ground of being, red with life untold, prepared as canvas for the patterns old. In darkness deeper than the unformed night, before the speaking of dividing light, the mist was gathering, drawn from below, where elements in sacred dance would flow, like strings of harps that part of the silent air, yet bind all music in their tension prayer. So separation served the greater whole, as boundaries gave space for life to scroll. The waters rose, a veil of mystery drawn, between the realms where glory meets its dawn. Not mere division, but a dance of grace, where heaven and earth would find their meeting place. From foundation firm to heights unknown, through paths of ascent carefully shown, each element lifted, transformed, then sealed, as higher dimensions were slowly revealed. The face of waters met the face of light. As morning broke through veils of ancient night, each surface turned to meet its maker's gaze, while boundaries dissolved in holy haze. Then came the watering divine descent, where rising elements found way and went back to the earth that birthed their first embrace, now bearing patterns of a higher place. Through gathered mist and brand of holy fire, creation's elements were lifted higher, not torn from roots but raised in sacred flight, to bridge the realms of darkness and of light. So earth and heaven found their perfect way, to dance together in the newborn day, where separation served the greater song, and boundaries showed where each would belong. And red earth waiting, pregnant with design, where dust would rise to bear the face divine. The ground was ready, watered from above, prepared at last for mysteries of love. This is the pattern set in days of old, when wisdom wrote in letters traced in gold, how earth and heaven in their dance would show the ways that life through dimensions flow. Now read the story in the rising mist, in every boundary that must exist, in waters gathered, in the ground below, in paths of ascent where we're meant to go. For in these patterns set at time's first dawn, before the curtain of our sight was drawn, lies written still the way of holy rise, where earth and heaven meet in paradise.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 6, King James Version. But there went up a mist from the earth, and watered the whole face of the ground. 1. The foundation. At the heart of creation lies the concept of firm earth, a foundation so fundamental that it serves as the birthplace of all that follows. This foundation, known in Hebrew as Erez, represents more than mere soil or ground. It embodies the very principle of stability from which all matter originates. Like a master craftsman who begins with a solid workbench, the Creator established this unchanging platform as the source from which all elements would emerge. The firm earth holds within its substance every element necessary for life's formation. These elements, though initially bound within the foundation, possess the potential for extraordinary transformation. They exist in a state of readiness, waiting to be called forth into their designated purposes. Think of them as letters in an unwritten story, each holding the potential to form words of profound meaning when properly arranged. Understanding Erez requires us to look beyond its surface meaning. The Hebrew term carries with it the weight of permanence and reliability. Its root meaning of to be firm speaks to its role as an unwavering support system for all that will come. This firmness doesn't suggest rigidity or resistance to change, but rather provides the stable platform necessary for transformation to occur. The foundation serves three essential functions in the process of formation. First, it acts as a reservoir, containing within itself all the raw materials necessary for creation. Second, it provides the stable platform from which these materials can be drawn upward and transformed. Third, it maintains a constant connection to everything that proceeds from it, ensuring that even as elements are elevated and changed, they retain their fundamental link to their source. This foundational layer demonstrates the meticulous nature of the creative process. Nothing is left to chance. Every element needed for life's formation is present from the beginning, stored within this firm foundation. The stability of eras makes possible all the dynamic changes that follow, much like a dancer needs a solid stage to perform their most intricate movements. 2. The gathering process. From the firm foundation rises something extraordinary, a mist, known in Hebrew as ed, that defies simple description. This is not merely water vapor rising on a cool morning, but rather a deliberate gathering of creation's essential elements. The term ed, derived from a root meaning to rake or gather together, reveals the purposeful nature of this phenomenon. Like a farmer carefully gathering his harvest, this process brings together scattered elements into a unified whole. The collection of elements occurs with precise intention. Each particle, each atom, each component necessary for life's formation is drawn together in this mysterious mist. These elements, previously dispersed throughout the firm foundation, now find themselves brought into new proximity and relationship with one another. Imagine a master composer bringing together individual notes to form a harmony. Each element maintains its identity while contributing to something greater than itself. This gathering creates the conditions necessary for transformation. As elements come together, they begin to influence and interact with one another in ways impossible while separated. The mist serves as both the mechanism of collection and the medium of change. Within its embrace, elements that once lay dormant in the foundation begin to awaken to new possibilities, much like ingredients combined in a master chef's bowl take on new properties through their interaction. The unity achieved through this gathering process represents more than mere proximity. It creates a new state of being, where elements, while maintaining their essential nature, become capable of transformation. This unity doesn't dissolve individual elements, but rather enhances their potential through relationship. Think of it as a dance where individual dancers, while maintaining their distinct movements, create patterns and possibilities impossible for a solitary performer. The nature of the mist itself teaches us about the delicate balance in creation's process. It must be substantial enough to carry the elements, yet subtle enough to allow transformation. Too dense, and the elements would remain locked in their current state. Too dispersed, and they would lack the proximity needed for change. The mist provides exactly the right environment for this gathering and preliminary transformation, demonstrating the precision inherent in the creative process. The implications of this gathering extend beyond the physical realm. This process reveals a fundamental principle of creation, that transformation often begins with bringing together what was separated. The mist-gathering elements from the firm foundation establishes a pattern that will be repeated throughout creation, where unity precedes and enables transformation. Third, the ascension. The process of ascension marks a pivotal moment in creation's unfolding story. Through Allah, a Hebrew term denoting purposeful upward motion, the gathered elements begin a journey that transcends mere physical movement. This ascension carries with it the weight of divine intention, each particle rising with precise purpose and timing. Like a symphony reaching its crescendo, this upward motion represents the dramatic elevation of potential into actualization. Understanding the purpose of elevation requires us to see beyond simple spatial movement. Each element rises not merely to change position, but to enter a new state of being. This elevation creates the necessary conditions for transformation, much like how heat rises in an oven to create the perfect environment for baking. The upward motion serves as both journey and preparation, each element lifted to exactly the height required for its ultimate purpose. The concept of min introduces a crucial paradox into this ascending motion: separation that maintains connection. This is not a severing, but rather an extending of relationship. Imagine a child learning to walk. Though they rise from crawling to standing, they maintain their essential connection to the ground beneath them. Similarly, these ascending elements remain fundamentally linked to their source even as they rise to new heights and possibilities. The precision of this ascension reveals itself in the delicate balance between elevation and connection. Elements must rise high enough to achieve their new purpose, yet maintain sufficient connection to draw upon the strength of their foundation. This creates a dynamic tension, like a kite rising on the wind while anchored by its string. The height of ascension for each element is neither arbitrary nor uniform, but precisely calibrated to its intended transformation. This ascending motion establishes a pattern that echoes throughout creation, the principle of connected elevation. By rising while maintaining their essential links, elements enter a state where transformation becomes possible without loss of identity. Like branches reaching skyward while roots delve deep, this dual nature of ascension demonstrates how true elevation often requires both reaching up and reaching down. The implications of this ascending process extend far beyond the physical realm. In this pattern of rising while remaining connected, we see a template for all manner of growth and transformation. The delicate balance between elevation and rootedness becomes a fundamental principle, showing how change often requires both the courage to rise and the wisdom to maintain connection to one's source. 4. The transformation. In the grand choreography of creation, transformation emerges as the crucial bridge between potential and realization. As the elevated elements hover in their delicate balance between earth and sky, they begin a metamorphosis more profound than mere physical change. This transformation represents the precise moment when gathered elements, suspended in their ascended state, begin to take on new properties while maintaining their fundamental essence. The state changes occurring within this transformation follow patterns both subtle and profound. Like water shifting between ice, liquid, and vapor, these elements undergo changes that alter their form while preserving their basic nature. However, these transformations extend beyond simple phase transitions. Each element experiences a carefully orchestrated modification that prepares it for its ultimate role in creation. Imagine a master glassblower heating sand until it becomes transparent and malleable. The silicon remains silicon, yet its properties and possibilities have been fundamentally altered. This preservation of essential nature during transformation reveals a crucial principle in creation's process. Even as elements change state and gain new properties, they retain the core qualities that make them unique and valuable. Think of a caterpillar entering its chrysalis. Though it emerges radically transformed, its fundamental DNA remains unchanged. This balance between change and continuity ensures that each element brings its unique contributions to the final formation, while gaining new capabilities through transformation. The building blocks of life emerge through this delicate process of transformation. Elements that began their journey in the firm foundation were gathered in the mist and elevated through ascension, now find themselves being shaped into the precise components necessary for life. Like letters being arranged into words or notes being composed into melody, these transformed elements begin to show their potential for creating something greater than their individual parts. The process demonstrates exquisite precision in timing and degree of change. Each element undergoes exactly the transformation needed, no more, no less, to fulfill its intended purpose. This precision reveals itself in the way elements retain certain properties while gaining others, much like how a skilled metallurgist knows exactly how much heat will transform ore into refined metal without destroying its essential characteristics. The implications of this transformation extend into understanding life itself. These changes establish a pattern that will be repeated countless times in creation. The principle that transformation, when properly guided, can unlock potential while preserving essence. This balance between change and continuity becomes fundamental to understanding how life can emerge from seemingly lifeless elements, each transformed yet remaining true to its created nature. Most profoundly, this transformation stage reveals how change and stability work together in creation's process. The elements undergo radical transformation while maintaining their essential connection to both their origin in the firm foundation and their gathered unity in the mist. Like a skilled dancer who remains grounded even while executing complex movements, these elements maintain their fundamental identity, even as they are transformed into something new and wonderful. 5. The Divine Method. Throughout creation's unfolding narrative, a clear methodology emerges, one that reveals careful planning and precise execution in every stage. This method isn't merely a sequence of events, but rather a masterfully orchestrated process where each stage builds upon the previous with exact purpose. Like a master architect who first draws plans, then lays foundations, and finally raises walls, each phase of creation follows a deliberate and necessary order. The stages of development follow a rhythm that speaks of deep intentionality, beginning with the firm foundation, moving through gathering and ascension, then into transformation. Each stage creates the exact conditions necessary for the next. This progression isn't linear, but rather spiral in nature, each stage adding depth and complexity to what came before. Consider how a symphony develops its themes, introducing them simply, then building layer upon layer of complexity, while maintaining the original melody's essence. Intentional design reveals itself in the precise calibration of each element's journey. Nothing moves too quickly or too slowly. Nothing changes too much or too little. This precision manifests in the way each stage perfectly prepares for the next. Like a master chef who knows exactly how long to simmer a sauce before adding the next ingredient. The timing and degree of change in each stage demonstrate a level of control that speaks to profound purpose rather than chance occurrence. The pattern of creation established through this method becomes a template for understanding all subsequent creative acts. We see in it a fundamental rhythm: foundation, gathering, ascension, and transformation. This pattern repeats itself throughout creation, operating at scales both microscopic and cosmic. Like a fractal pattern that maintains its essential structure at every level of magnification, this divine method reveals consistent principles regardless of scale or context. This methodology also demonstrates the importance of preparation and sequence. Each stage must be fully realized before the next can begin, yet each stage also contains within it the seeds of what will follow. Think of how a master painter builds up layers of paint, each layer necessary for the next, each contributing to the final image while remaining distinct. This layered approach ensures that nothing is rushed or forced, but rather develops naturally according to its designed purpose. The implications of this divine method extend far beyond the initial act of creation. In revealing this pattern, we gain insight into how intentional development occurs at every level of existence. From the formation of galaxies to the growth of a single cell, this method of careful preparation, gathering, elevation, and transformation provides a blueprint for understanding ordered development in all its forms. Most profoundly, this method reveals that creation is neither random nor arbitrary, but follows precise patterns with specific purposes. Like a master composer who knows exactly which instruments to bring in at which moment, the divine method demonstrates how complexity can arise from simplicity through careful orchestration and timing. This understanding transforms our view of creation from a series of isolated events into a magnificently choreographed process, where each movement builds toward a greater purpose. 6. The Integration. The process of integration marks the moment when all previous stages find their fulfillment through the Hebrew concept of shaka, a return and saturation that goes beyond simple mixing or combining. This process represents the perfect union of transformed elements with their intended destination. Like a river meeting the sea, this integration brings together distinct elements in a way that creates something entirely new while preserving the essential nature of each component. The return through saturation demonstrates a principle more profound than mere moistening or wetting. The Hebrew shaka speaks of complete penetration and absorption, where transformed elements fully integrate with their target. Imagine rain falling on parched soil. The water doesn't simply sit on the surface, but penetrates deeply, transforming the very nature of the ground it touches. This saturation creates a union so complete that the boundary between what was separate becomes beautifully blurred. At the meeting point, described by the Hebrew term panim, heaven and earth encounter each other in a precise location of manifestation. This surface or face represents more than a physical boundary. It becomes the exact place where transformed elements meet their destiny. Like an artist's canvas where vision becomes reality, Panem marks the threshold where divine intention manifests in physical form. This meeting point serves as both destination and beginning, the place where separate elements unite to create something new. The union with red earth, Adamah, completes this grand cycle of creation. This isn't merely soil, but rather the specifically prepared substance designed to receive the transformed elements. The redness of Adamah speaks to its unique properties, its ability to both receive and nurture what has been transformed through the previous stages. Think of a master potter's clay, specially prepared to receive the artist's touch and hold the form given to it. This integration process demonstrates exquisite timing and precision. Each transformed element arrives at exactly the right moment to unite with the prepared earth. Like a master conductor bringing in each instrument at precisely the right moment, this integration orchestrates a perfect union of elements that have completed their journey of transformation. The timing ensures that nothing is wasted or lost in the process of unification. The implications of this integration extend beyond the physical realm into understanding the nature of creation itself. This process reveals how separate elements, each transformed through their unique journey, can come together to create something greater than their individual parts. Like a perfect marriage where two become one while maintaining their distinct identities, this integration demonstrates how unity can enhance rather than diminish the unique qualities of what is joined. Most profoundly, this integration establishes a pattern for understanding how heaven and earth can meet, how the elevated and transformed can unite with the foundational and substantial to create something entirely new. This pattern reveals that true integration preserves the essential nature of what is united while creating possibilities that neither could achieve alone. 7. The completion. In the final stage of this divine process, we witness the culmination of all previous movements coming together in perfect harmony. The full cycle of creation, from firm foundation through gathering, ascension, transformation, and integration, reaches its intended purpose. Like a master symphony arriving at its final movement, each previous theme finds its resolution in this moment of completion. This isn't merely an ending, but rather the fulfillment of every preparatory stage that came before. The full cycle reveals itself as both circular and spiral, returning to its beginning point, while elevated to a new level of existence. Each element that began in the firm foundation has undergone a journey of profound transformation, yet maintains its essential connection to its source. Think of a great oak tree, whose highest leaves still draw sustenance from the same soil that nourished its first shoot. The cycle completes itself not by returning elements to their original state, but by fulfilling their ultimate purpose while preserving their fundamental nature. In the formation of humanity, we see the supreme expression of this creative process. The elements that were gathered, elevated, transformed, and integrated now find their highest purpose in forming life itself. This formation represents more than biological assembly. It embodies the perfect union of heaven's intention with earth's substance. Like an artist whose various brushstrokes finally reveal a portrait, each previous stage of creation finds its meaning in this culminating act of formation. The union of heaven and earth in this completion transcends mere physical combination. It establishes a pattern where the elevated and the foundational meet in perfect harmony, creating something that neither could achieve alone. This union doesn't dissolve the distinct qualities of heaven and earth, but rather enhances them through their relationship. Imagine a perfect marriage where each partner becomes more fully themselves through their union with the other. The precision of this completion demonstrates the masterful nature of the entire creative process. Nothing is rushed or forced. Each element finds its place at exactly the right moment. Like a master jeweler setting the final stone in a crown, this completion brings every previous preparation to its perfect fulfillment. The timing reveals that even the waiting periods served their purpose in preparing for this moment of ultimate integration. This completion also establishes a template for understanding all future acts of creation and transformation. It reveals that true fulfillment often requires both patience through process and faithfulness to purpose. The pattern shown here, of elements being prepared, transformed, and united for a greater purpose, becomes a blueprint for understanding how divine intention manifests in physical reality. Most profoundly, this completion reveals that the end was present in the beginning, that every stage of preparation and transformation served to fulfill what was intended from the start. Like a master storyteller who weaves every detail toward a satisfying conclusion, this completion shows how each previous stage contributed necessary elements to the final formation.